How's it going, guys? This is like the third segment of teams that I'm looking out for, and this is for those teams that are outside the top 50 and maybe ones that you may not know a lot about, but they are doing a lot of good things. Uh, Going through all my scores and going through and watching everyone's wins and losses and who they win to and who they lose to and things like that. There's a lot of teams that don't get noticed, but do have some really good teams that do have some really good players and also do get some big wins. So, um, like for example, Wanganui High School, which I think they play in the Colts division there. Um, they are a team that has a lot of players in that team um, that they can really ball out and they just don't get recognized. And usually it's down to their competition that they play in, and then because they're not going against other high schools, like people don't know how to judge them or see them or to take how good they actually are and things like that. So I look out for Wanganui High School. That's another team that I think I'd be looking at for the top 50 or moving up closer to that spot in that range. And so yeah, that one's another one. And maybe that's a team that needs to be looked at and maybe put into a better competition. And that's what's so sad about sometimes with competitions is that, and no fault of its own to the school or players or anything like that, but the richer schools have a lot more money to travel, and so that's why they end up in those kind of competitions. But I could see Wanganui in the CNI competition in terms of talent because they can outplay a lot of those teams anyway. So yeah, the Wanganui is a team that you should look out for. Another one I thought about was Wainuiomata. Like I think they've done pretty good, um, especially within the Wellington ranks, and then and just playing throughout the grading games. They've had uh, they have enough to say that they should be looked at a bit more. I think they like for instance, just going down to their scores and making sure that all the games that they've played and things like that. And I always try and keep a track of everybody's scores and how it matches up. Because Hibs is another team that I think has done pretty good within those grading games too, and that kind of don't get a lot of um, they don't get a lot of recognition. Because Wainuiomata, I mean, they had a good game against Upper Hutt where they won 25-5. And even St. Bernard's, they beat Upper Hutt 32-10. But the effort that was put out, and the players and the kind of teams that they have, they do really stack up. Because Wairoa Upper High School is another high school that I think is pretty underrated, and they have teams like Onslow, who's in the top 100. And remember, I cover something like I'm up to 100. Hold on, let me check. I'm up to 119 teams are the ones that I basically follow. So, and like people, like if you have scores within your region, please send them in, because I do track a lot of schools, and then I might not be able to find your guys' scores and then add them to the list, because I do want to find everybody's scores and then try and match everybody up, equally and accordingly, and try and get everyone some limelight as well. Freiburg High School is another high school that I've been told and that are pretty good, and they have some really good, decent players. Topor is another one that I'm actually waiting for a lot on, is Topor, because I do want to know how they're going, and I have them in that 70 range. Whereas I think I might be wrong with that 70 range, and they maybe should be going up a bit more. Papatoa is a team that I think should drop a bit within my ranks. Gore High School as well is one that I kind of look at, and I'm real interested in those schools. Like even the St. Peter's down there is another one in Menzies College. I think those teams. I wish I could get more about those kind of teams and their scores, and so that I can know how to adjust them in. But those are teams that I find are really decent teams that you can actually find a lot of good talent out of them. Rangitoto is close to that. It's close to that 50 as well, and they had a draw like I couldn't understand. I didn't really understand how or why they got a draw like that, but it should have been better. But yeah. But to all those other teams, and I'm still waiting for two tours like them and Manukura. I think if people have got their scores, please send them in so that we can keep a track of them as well. I mean, there are some really good, decent teams down there. St. Kevin's College is one that I'm kind of surprised at that they're not getting the wins that they should be getting. Because Mount Aspiring is doing okay. I mean, they still match up, and they still can keep a standard. But the big scores that they're going to lose by, they need to bring it back down and sort of, so it's not so lopsided towards one team because it's pretty inconsistent. Waiuku always has a lot of good players, which I think that maybe a better program or maybe coaches maybe develop them a bit more or try and keep their players there. I mean, I understand why players leave smaller programs like that, but I don't know. It's just something that a lot of smaller schools have to deal with. But yeah, I like Hibs. Like Hibs is a good team that I think is one everyone should be looking out for. Onslow is another one. I think Rangiora will be a pretty good side to sort of match up within that range. Wanganui High School definitely is one of those ones